Okay, good afternoon, and welcome to Life Coaching Classes and Videos by Universal Recovery 360. That little logo right there. I am Pernell Basin. I will be your host. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel titled Life Coaching Classes and Videos by Universal Recovery 360 Degrees Incorporated. You'll find some very interesting things on there. So, today, since we finished our spirituality walk, we're going to talk about blessings and how to count them. Okay. But before we do that, as in everything else, before you discuss something, make sure you know what it is you're discussing. Now, there are many different levels of blessings. Of course, when you know it's me talking, you're talking about spiritual, right? And here's how that works. Blessings are what people think to be the good that comes out of something, or the greatness that a person might become in comparison to what they used to be, or the happiness that they feel, or even the reward that they get, should they get a reward. Um, my version, or what I mean when I say blessings, is more like when you help someone, right? Whether they achieve what you're helping them to achieve or they don't, right, is not the blessing or the reward. The fact that you help them is the blessing. Now, the reward, right, is joy. And once you get certain things under control with your mind, like terminology such as count it all joy, when you hear that term, hopefully now you know what it means. Um, some people think it means like if something you're trying to do something that doesn't work out, count it all joy anyway, right? That is true. Um, but the actual count it all joy is supposed to be because we are supposed to be on a different level. So it's supposed to be doing the right thing for the right reasons, right? It's a feeling that you get from doing that, right? It's joyful, right? And it's not, and let me not word that too particular because it's not a feeling that you get as a result of it. It's a accumulation, and the more you start to do the right thing for the right reason, the more you start to see that you're letting go before you become accountable for trying too hard. um, you're going to start feeling better about yourself. You're going to start wanting to get up early and go out and help. You're going to start wanting to make sure you're healthy so you can go out and help. You're going to start wanting, right, to look for issues that you can help with because you have understood your purpose, right? In order to do that, though, you have to get beyond you. And this is the hardest part, right? Because we are so finite. In other words, we so think with this and this. And we feel with this, we think with this. I'm going to tell you a secret though. If you think with this and you feel with this, it's probably backwards, right? And I'm going to give you an example of seeing and hearing, right? People say you see with your eyes, you hear with your ears. 9 times out of 10, if you close your eyes and the person is talking to you, you get to see what they're saying if they're very good. talker, if they're able to express or identify and create the image for you. You can see through hearing, right? And if you ever thought about it, when you look at something inside your head, you can hear the answer, right? Say you're looking for the door and you look over there, in your head, it'll go, there it is. Do you understand what I mean? Like, so you can actually hear with these and you can actually see with these, right? But people only see and do things the way they were taught. And this is why the universal part in Universal Recovery 360 is so important, because everything that's universal, right, is one. It's all the same, right? If you've seen one, you've seen them all. And that's how you're going to have to start doing your blessings, right? You're going to have to stop looking at your life as a curse. You're going to have to learn how to count it all joy. You're going to have to learn how to live spiritually for that to happen. Now, I'm going to be doing a lot of classes, right, on this physical plane. And if you start to notice or you start to get it, you'll start understanding that the only reason the spiritual plane is so easy for me to see is because the physical plane and the mental planes have been defined to me specifically. In other words, I understand what they mean, right? Not their value, because they don't have any value. Like, people look at riches as money and things like that. In the spiritual world, riches is a healthy life, like a happy family, right? You can't buy these things. Happiness, like, you can't buy these. All the things that money can't buy, it's because they're already priceless. So one day you're going to be watching one of these videos, and this is why I pray you guys keep watching, keep telling your friends, keep getting people to subscribe, watch it with them, because eventually one day it's going to click and you are going to move, like, literally from mental and physical to spiritual, and you're going to know you moved. And the best part about that is you're going to start seeing the mental and the physical live without you. And you're going to be seeing yourself, right, only step in when necessary. And you're going to understand that your life, right, is free, even from you. And if you don't pay attention, you will end up giving it away or losing it to yourself. There's a lot of people out there that are angry at the world because they lost their lives to themselves, right? They got so caught up in them, right, that they forgot what life is truly about. It's about God, others, self. It's about putting other people first. It's about love, truth, peace, freedom, justice. It's about all those things that bring about a total understanding and fulfillment of your soul. Like, you're gonna have people in your life that you just think are the most bipolar people you've ever met. One minute they sad and quiet, the next minute they hyped and angry. And notice I use terms that include feelings, right? Because I used how you say it, I used a mental terminology, so I'm going to use the things that create those, right? So you're going to have those days, right? And you're going to have to be able to look at it from a spiritual perspective, right? So if I wake up in the morning, right, and I only got 1 hour sleep, I could spend my whole day at work miserable, right? Because I didn't sleep last night, and now I know, right? I just know, because experience has taught me that I'm going to be tired. That's in the flesh. Or I can get that hour sleep, wake up, And that hour sleep was the best sleep I ever got, right? Even if it wasn't, I can make it the best sleep I've ever gotten, because on this plane, the easiest way to make something very tiny, very good, is to see all that was put into it, right? So when I say I only got an hour sleep and you can see all that was put into that, you have to look at the fact that that's like 60 times 60 seconds. That's a long time. Or you have to look at it like there were days when I didn't get any sleep, right? And I still survived, right? So the more you look at what could have been, the more you start to appreciate what you ended up getting. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I don't like people to do this often because they utilize it in the wrong frame of mind. And what I mean by that is, just like in everything else, if you use it this way, of course, naturally it's going to set a pace or a precedent to be used in the other ways. Like if you use it physically, eventually you're going to use it spiritually. Eventually you're going to use it mentally. Like if you use it one way, eventually you have to use it the other ways, because that's how universal works, right? But each one is an education level. Say I learned something physically, like how to jump, right? How to jump rope. Boom. So I got in there and I got conditioned myself and I learned how to jump up, down, right? Boxing, of course, not, you know, double dutch. I'm not talking about double dutch or something, but you can use that if that's what your choice of thing was. But mine was for boxing. And say I conditioned myself to jump rope, right? So now that I got jumping rope under control, right? The next time I jump rope, mentally, I'm going to be trying to figure out better ways to do it. Do you know what I mean? So that's how one thing leads to the other, right? And then once I start figuring out better ways to do it, right? Then spiritually, I'm going to watch myself recreate new things for me to do. That's how it works. So the problem we have with this, and the problem why some people are diagnosed as one thing or some people might be diagnosed as the other, is because that one time it happened doesn't create a precedent for me, because I don't addict to things anymore. And what I mean by that is I don't automatically recondition myself to continue to do something because I needed to do it one time or a few times, right? I don't have to not pay attention and like subconsciously recondition myself. I can pay attention and tell myself that this is necessary for now, right? That I don't have to keep doing this while I'm doing it, so that it doesn't condition me to, right, doing it all the time, right? That's what an addict does. Like an addict, if he uses one, right, he'll, even if he has $1,000 left, he'll start thinking of more money and more ways to get more. Even if he has enough for a week or a month sitting on the table, once you start smoking, you start thinking about how to get more, right? That's an addictive concept, right? That means all you can think about is more, right? And that's how the addictive personality works. It has nothing to do necessarily per se with the drug. It has more to do with what happens when you take it, what the body does, what the mind does, you know, what they start doing together. And if you don't understand any of these things, you're going to have a hard time in recovery. So when I say I don't addict to things anymore, what I mean by that is, right, there were times when I like Boston baked beans. I love those things. Like there was a time when I could just eat them for breakfast, lunch, dinner all day long, all night long, and I was addicted to them. And then one day I woke up and I didn't like them anymore. And it had nothing to do with the fact that I made a decision to not like them. I grabbed them and there was a feeling already around me that was saying, you're not going to be happy with it this time. And I knew that it was running out for me. Same thing happened with spaghetti and meat. Same thing happens with anything I used to do. The same thing used to happen, right? I'd fall in love with something and my mouth would get a taste for it. I eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. And then one day I wake up and I can't touch it, right? So the addiction wears off. That was my experience that I learned from those things. But the other experience I learned was that I addict. Right? I get it that it wears off, but the problem is I addict. So, right, while I'm sitting around waiting for it to wear off, something really bad could happen to me while I'm in addiction. So, I ain't worrying about the fact that it wears off. What I want to worry about is the fact that I addict and how to stop that part. So, I don't have to worry about the wearing off part, right? So, once I establish the fact that I addict to things, then I try to see how addiction works for me, right? And then I started realizing how my mind started locking up with one thing on it. How it started overriding other things. And I started going back into my memories to find examples. And I found a bunch of them. Like there was a day when I went to work with drugs on me, right? Never been able to do anything while getting high. But I went to work, went to the bathroom, and I used. And I stayed in there. And I couldn't get up out of there because I forgot that I start to look like people know what I'm doing and telling on myself. So I was afraid because of that, so I hid in there. So I started remembering the things that I do or the things that I've done and how they worked out, like literally, not like the end result, but from beginning to end. Like me getting up, walking to the bathroom. What was I thinking? This is a dumb move, you know what I mean? But what was I feeling? Shit, my high's wearing off, right? So you get that there's a conflict going on, and the disease of addiction is winning. So when I go out the door and I get closer to the bathroom, it's like, okay, yes, just 5 more seconds and I'm back, right? But also, I'm about to fucking get fired. Do you understand? So that's how my addiction worked in my thought process. So I started understanding like the behaviors that I put out there. I started understanding like the neglect that I put out there. And then I even went farther back than that, like before I had the drug, when I just had money and I wanted to get drugs. Like, how did that part kick in? Like, because when I'm broke and I'm going home, I'm so angry, never going to do it again. But the minute I get money, all that switches. Click. The same way when I wake up and I tell you that I don't like Boston baked beans no more, I just don't like them. Click. So I started understanding the change that happens. Like it has nothing to do with this, that long before for me, right? There's a click, and then that process starts for me. And I started to realize that, and then I started going back even further. And then I was watching how the click happened and then what happened afterwards, right? So I started breaking down my past, right? To better advance my present so that I can be a better person in the future. That's how you fight the disease of addiction. That is called the process. I have a very particular one. I have a very unique one. Everybody has one that their body, their put it like this, that their race, creed, and nationality has put into them. And what I mean by that is through your ancestors, 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 and your belief systems and belief systems and belief systems, you have all the answers to save you. You have all the answers to destroy you, right? And so I started understanding how to find my answers. And it wasn't as simple as 1 plus 1 is 2, right? It was more complicated than that. It was, why am I asking 1 plus 1, right? And then what caused me the need to use that term, 1 plus 1, right? And how come I know the answer to that? Like, front, middle, end, right? Full circle. I want to know, right? And believe it or not, it seems like if you did that for everything in your life would be so busy with a thought process that you won't get to do anything. But I promise you, it happens like that. The only time it doesn't happen like that is if I'm in control of it. Not the I am, right? Me, the physical me, the mental me. When they in control of shit, they like to complicate everything. One want to do it one way, the flesh want to do it the other way. I'm trying to find a compromise so this and this can get along, right? And they keep making it worse for me. I learned that those things were happening inside of me. And it made it so much easier for me to be prepared when something was about to happen, because when something's about to happen, I don't worry about what's about to happen. I automatically and instinctively have reconditioned myself to kick into where's it coming from, how to get there, was I a part of it? What I mean by was I a part of it? What I mean by that is, was I sitting down typing and working and all of a sudden my stomach growls so I know I'm hungry, and I wasn't a part of that. The only way I played a part in that and how I played a part in that was I didn't eat enough, or right, my body just metabolism just ate whatever I put in there faster than normal. But it did it, and it started growling before I knew I was hungry. It told me I was hungry. That's what I mean by it did it without me. So I have to pay attention to my life. Now, back to blessings, because I think I got you guys understanding how things work and how you find things. The reasons blessings are so powerful and you should count them all joy is because, please do this for me. Look up the word joy and look up the word happy, and you will understand that they have created and put it in our minds that these are feelings of emotion, right? That we go through: happy, sad. In the flesh, yes. Find out how they work spiritually, right? There's no need to do something to be happy. And joy means like the most elusive peace that anyone can find. Like, it's so elusive and it's so peaceful that you just find yourself starting to smile. You ever had that feeling where you just so at comfortable with life and everything in it that that's joy? You can't count it all joy if you're too busy worrying about how it's going to happen next time. That's why you need to learn how to be in the moment. You can't find it or count it as happiness unless you find a reason for needing happiness. And you don't need a reason to need happiness. You can just be happy. I tell people all the time, they go, man, I'm in a cranky mood. It'll pass. At least you know what it is, right? But the problem with people who say I'm in a cranky mood, they begin to act cranky. The difference is when you're dealing in the spirit and you in a cranky mood, you begin to look for ways and to stop the cranky from coming out. Right? You begin to look for the ways that you build up cranky, right? You begin to look for the ways that cranky comes out. Like, you all of a sudden, like, you standing outside, you online, right? Trying to get to the bank, and somebody's in front of you that's moving really, really, really slow. This happens with me in my car all the time. And I see myself getting cranky because they're not moving fast enough. And I want to say, come on, man, get it together. I gotta go. I got things to do. That would be me expressing the cranky that I'm feeling, right? So once I acknowledge that that's about to happen and that's what I'm feeling like saying, I remove it and I don't do it. And that's how I get my joy. That's how I get my blessings, because I just removed a not me action about to happen through me, if that makes sense to you. A not me action about to happen through me. Right? So when the end result comes, in other words, you'll blame me, but I won't be able to take accountability because it wasn't me. It happened without me. And I try to tell people this all the time. There are certain things in your life that will happen without you if you're not aware. And so I have such a past, right? Here's my blessings from my past. I have such a past that just about anything that could go wrong or would go wrong now, I already know how to fix because I count it all joy. And I make great use of everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. I make great use of it. So I live a happy life. I live a peaceful life. I live a comfortable life. I live a priceless, riches can't define type of life. And I'm happy in it. Of course, there's things I want to do that require financial freedom, right? And the financial freedom that requires, I might not have yet, but the financial freedom that this requires, I kind of have already. Do you know what I mean? So I'm okay with this being joyful and that not being ready. It's a difference, right? So I want you guys to take these messages, right? And because they might not make sense yet, or they make sense mentally and physically, don't express them yet, right? Experience them. Oh, here's a spoken word for you. It's called paranormal activity. And this is how I'm going to start ending my stuff nowadays. Okay. Paranormal activity. I saw a woman who saw a man through the eyes of a child that couldn't see. Yes, she said she saw a man with big blue eyes, but his eyes were brown. So I asked, "Are you sure?" And the blind child said, "I know what you saw. You looked in his eyes and you saw me lying, didn't you?" But I didn't know how to answer that question because the man's reflection came from the blind child's eyes that reflected the woman who was watching the man. And though the child was blind, it would seem her eyes were the key to all I really needed to see. So I looked at the child again and she began to smile as if she saw my confusion. And I said, "Now, how could that be if the child can't see?" And the woman said, "Don't be afraid." And I got a little offended and I raised my voice and I said, "I look like I'm scared." And the man said, "Hey, she's not hearing impaired, she's blind." And I said, "Hey, as far as I can tell, that child can see just fine." So the child got nervous from the raising of the voice and she ran to the woman and she ran around a chair and then around a table. I'm saying to myself, man, it just is not no way that this child is disabled. So finally I asked, "Am I the only one besides this child that can see?" And the woman looked at the man and the man looked at me and said, "No, son, you and the child are the only two that's blind." And I knew he was going to say that somehow. Now that has a spiritual answer. And if you can tell me what that spoken word poem was about, I'd say you were one step closer to joy. Love you. Be good to yourselves. Keep listening. Subscribe. Tell a friend to subscribe. Life coaching classes and videos by Universal Recovery. It's on YouTube. I also have a Facebook page called Life Coaching Classes and Videos by Universal Recovery 360 Degrees Incorporated that I upload my YouTube videos onto. So you have a bunch of platforms that you can get to me at. Also, you can get me at pernellba@gmail.com or my phone number, because I also do private one-on-one sessions at 754-366-2195. That's if you want a private session for life coaching. pernellba@gmail.com, all lowercase. That's if you have something you might want me to understand or give you some advice on. I don't have a problem doing that. Love yourselves. Be good to each other. and I'll see you soon. Peace.